moving that fast, you're not allowing the product from here to here work. So when you make the fast movements, it's not good. It's just, you're wasting product and you're wasting time. Ideally, the rotation is, okay, when you get it going, start slow, spread the product. Okay? Now at this point, the product itself is actually spread. Yep. On a larger level, okay, think of it this way. In that product, imagine it like chocolate syrup and sand. Sand being the abrasive and the chocolate syrup being the lubricant, if that makes sense. What you want to do is evenly disperse the sand throughout that syrup, if that makes sense, to break it down. Now, as this pad rotates, going in a circle like that, it's going to literally grind down in with the sand particles while the syrup is giving it a lubricant. So what will happen is you'll eventually remove the scratches as it goes. But when you're going too fast, it's almost like a car that hydroplanes across paint. Okay, it's not working. Or like a car that hydroplanes across water. If you're driving too fast, you hit the brakes and you just slide. Pretty much that's what you're doing here. Yeah. So what we wanted to do was, what you guys got to do really, ideally, is once you get that spread, okay, you start with your initial spread. That'll keep it wet. Alright? Now, you bump up the speed, and as you get to a bump of the speed about 3 or 4, okay, slowly, almost like a robot. Okay, like a robot will move. To give you an idea, let me put this down for a second. Look, when a robot moves, it's like a perfect movement. You see what I'm saying? Like that. When a human moves, they're all over the place. You want to be like a robot and allow the product to work between the pad and the paint. So as you're coming across, imagine being a robot, taking your time.
Slow walk back
and
forth.
Precision.
Is there ever a thing as going too slow?
There could be, and here's what you want to look for, okay? All right, when you're working down, okay, let's do it up here. Okay, if you're working too slow and too hard, the pad will actually slow down. So you want to keep like a medium speed, a little bit of pressure, but it's just enough to allow that pad to keep spinning. Otherwise, essentially, it'll spin backwards with a dual action polisher. So, realistically, the movement you do like this. Nice and slow. That way I'm allowing the abrasive and the liquid to do what it's supposed to do. Okay? Now when you come down, you want to come down halfway. If you notice here, if you come down fully, you're right here. If you come down halfway, what you're doing is actually working each spot twice because you're dividing the width of this pad in half. So let's just say you come across, now you drop down halfway, and then you go this way again. You're taking your time. Coming across slowly, and allowing everything to do what it's doing. If that makes sense. Then come down, back, and across. You see what I mean?
Now on the hood this size, how many times do you apply your Americana product?
It would be, ideally, it's enough to keep the surface lubricated. I always try to do a 2x2 area. This is a little bit more because we're demoing, but I always want to do like that much area at a time, to be real.
And then so no bigger than a 2 square foot box.
Yeah, correct. And then when I'm done with that section, I'll put a little product on and go to the next section. Put a little product on and go to the next section. But ideally what I want to do is I want to start here, which would be from the inside out. Because if you start here, and being a bigger guy like me, if I'm reaching out to get this is polished, I'm going to re-scratch the surface. So you want to start here and come back, if that makes sense. Now, what makes these unique is the holes, okay? The 4 holes that allow air actually can match the holes in the backing plate. So essentially, one, it's not, your product's not gonna build up like this pad that you guys are using here. Okay, the heat absorption, like this pad, it's not gonna build up either. Also, when this pad's here, to show you an idea, okay, you're putting this pad down. Now this is a bad example, but when you have that extra lag right there, as that's turning, you see the rotation is good, okay? So it's gonna tear the pads up like it's been doing. Here, with the exact fit, it's not tearing anything up. You see what I'm getting at? Also, now imagine 2 pieces of aluminum, okay? When you look at these pads, okay? Imagine 2 pieces of aluminum. One aluminum here, and then jello, and then another thing aluminum. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, now imagine this pad being the jello. Okay, the bottom piece of aluminum would be the paint, and then the pad would be the jello, and then the top piece would be aluminum, if that makes sense. When the rupus is going, it's an orbital movement, which means it spins this way, and then it spins its own way in 21 millimeters. So essentially a pad's not just doing a perfect spin, it's going up and spinning, up and spinning, up and around and spinning, okay? Which is generating more heat. That's one why the holes come into play. If you notice here, this one has no holes in the middle, and it's absorbing the heat. These will dissipate the heat. Now, when you break down into the whole jello thing, okay, you've got metal, jello, metal. Okay, this being the jello, what happens is, when these pads spin, this pad, because of its exact fit, the rotation's solid, okay? But when this spins, if you put this on here, okay, now you've got metal, jello, metal, jello, metal. When this spins, okay, this goes, and as that energy goes, and it transfers the energy to the pad, because of all this excess, it's gonna literally spin and then hold. So imagine jello just taking aluminum and twisting it. The top part will spin, but the bottom won't. You see what I'm getting at? So here, with these, what we did was, let me line it up, but we got less drag, which will give you a lot more rotation speed. And they'll rotate more. See what I'm getting at? So the machine eventually won't bog down as much. And then, which will allow you to run at cooler temperatures too. But ideally, let's just clean this up here real quick. Okay. Here would be the actual movement then. That's what they call contact, to give you an idea. See how the machine, everything's allowed it to do itself, you know? That's what you want. You don't want to force nothing. You want the machine, the pad, and the product to work. You just want to be the controller of everything working, if that makes sense. And then essentially, you're just going to wipe, okay, and you can see, let me show you here, but ideally, let me get this light, see here you can see the finish, look, and then over there, you can see that. Now come here, if you want to see this, look, come here, I know you're just recording it to learn, but see all the hairline stuff there? That's essentially what you're doing. Over here, just that one movement, look at that paint. It's flawless.
Brand new.
Yep.
Literally brand new. And we did that in one step. And it was basic. That's just the basic teachings. But ideally, everybody wants to rush polish it. They think, oh, well, let's rush it, yada, yada, yada. But don't rush it. Allow the product, the pad, and the machine to do the work. And that one step will be greater than 2 or 3 sometimes on most products, most cars, most paints, if that makes sense. And essentially you're doing one step faster than 2 or 3, and you're pretty much done. And then that's how we came up with that.
Definitely looks like a great product.
That's it. But anyway, all right, let's have fun and get back to work. I just wanted to, so you guys have an idea of how to do that, you know what I mean?
Right.